Yes, there you go.
I call this meeting of the Alvin Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Would everyone rise for the invocation given by Ms. Winterstrom and remain standing for the pledges?
Heavenly Father, as we gather for the beginning of a new school year, we give thanks for this day and everything that has brought us here. We ask your blessing on our new students and staff members. May they feel welcomed and invited to share their gifts and talents with us. We ask your blessings on all who are returning. May they feel renewed and ready for what will happen this year. Guide our decisions tonight, Lord, so they are pleasing to you and what is best for each and every student. In your name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, next up on the agenda is the introduction of greeters and commendations.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Tonight we have two Alvin Isd teams that competed in the Seaperch National Challenge held in Dartmouth, Massachusetts on May 30th, serving as our greeters. They will also be receiving a commendation this evening, so we're going to do things just a little bit different. We're going to invite these guys in, and they're going to introduce themselves, and they're going to share with us all what was their most memorable experience about competing in the National Seaperch Competition in Massachusetts. So guys, come on down. Come on down to the front with us. How about a round of applause for these guys? Just to give a little background here, the Nolan Ryan Junior High Wave Riders, Wave Riders, if you'll wave to the audience. These students won second place in the Obstacle Course Challenge and first place in the Finesse Challenge of the National Seaperch Competition. Round of applause for the Wave Riders. In the Passmore Elementary Sea Sharks, if y'all will wave, won first place in the poster presentation. And I need to share something with y'all. These young ladies from Passmore Elementary actually competed up in the junior high competition, and they still brought home the national championship. So pretty impressive from you guys. So if we'll start right here on the end, I'm going to hand you the mic, and if you'll introduce yourself and tell us what was the most memorable experience of the national competition. Okay?
Hello, my name is Liam Ramsey, and the most memorable thing that I had for nationals was going somewhere that I hadn't gone before.
Hello, my name is Nikita, and one of the most memorable experiences was being able to perform in front of a large amount of people on a national level.
Hi, my name is Reagan Forrest, and one of my favorite moments of going to nationals was being with my team and just experiencing something new.
Hello, my name's Eric Johnson, and the most memorable thing I remember is winning a trophy.
My name is Joshua, and the most memorable part of the Seaperch competition is when the driving portion, where we got second place in the obstacle course and first place in the finesse.
Hello, my name is Justin Acklin, and the most memorable part I had was being in the gym with all the other teams, seeing their posters and sea perches, because it was fun to see how innovative other teams got.
Hello, my name is Tyler Beckman, and my favorite part was with all the work that we've done for the past 2 or 3 months, putting it all together and seeing what we could accomplish as a team.
Hello, my name is Anna Wilson, and my most memorable part of the Seaperch competition was winning the first place trophy. Hi, I'm Madeline Guyman, and my most memorable part was staying at the university with my team.
All right, thank you very much, guys. We'll invite our trustees to come on down, Trustee Humbert and Trustee Scheibel, to present you with your commendations. We just want to thank you so much. Y'all did an unbelievable job, not only representing your team and your campus, but also Alvin Isd, and we're extremely proud of you for that. We're getting the official photo up here, but parents, if you'd like to take a photo, please don't be shy. Please come on down, take as many photos as you'd like, and we'll also post them on our district Twitter feed in the next 2 days. Y'all can download them from there as well, but don't be shy. We also need to invite down Ms. Dana Halderman, the campus sponsor from Nolan Ryan Junior High. Ms. Halderman, if you're here, please come on down, as well as Courtney Halstead from Nolan Ryan Junior High, the sponsor of the Wave Riders, as well as from Passmore, Linda Palacio, campus sponsor, Tom Wilson, parent sponsor, and Sarah Palacio, campus sponsor as well. If y'all are here, please come join the students at the front for the official photo. All right, congratulations, students. How about one more round of applause? Thank you, guys. One more picture. All right, have to get the perfect shot. I completely understand. Thank you, guys, again for joining us tonight. Thank you for representing Alvin Isd. Thank you. Next, we have Alvin Isd staff members to be recognized. These staff members are being recognized for their accomplishments in the School Bus Road EO. The School Bus Road EO is one of the most important events in the industry, with the best school bus drivers within the state competing for top honors and recognition. This event begins with a written test, and then contestants get behind the wheel of a bus to put their driving skills to the test in one of 3 categories: conventional, transit, and special needs. Drivers have the opportunity to demonstrate their professionalism and dedication to pupil transportation by demonstrating their skills during the competition. This year, the following drivers and monitor advanced from the regional competition and competed at the state level, representing Alvin Isd this past June. Advancing in the conventional category was Miss Donna McKay. Ms. McKay? Ms. McKay proved that practice and determination paid off when she won our local competition and then took 2nd place at the regional competition before advancing to state. Advancing in the special needs competition was driver Glenda Watkins and her monitor Lori Dyson. If y'all are here, please come join us at the front. This team also won our local competition and then took 2nd place at the regional competition to advance to state. Only the 2 top teams in each category from the state competition advanced to the international competition, and although we fell just short of this goal, each of these drivers and monitor represented Alvin Isd very well and demonstrated once again that our drivers and monitors are some of the very best and most professional in the entire state. Congratulations. Thank y'all for joining us this evening, and those are our commendations for tonight.
Thank you. moving forward, we have no open forum request. So the next item on the agenda is presentations. There's going to be two of them. The first is the 2014-2015 TERS.
Good evening, President, board members, Superintendent Gilchrist. My name is Claire Bogard. I'm the Director of Finance with the City of Pearland. And I'm here tonight to present the Pearland Reinvestment Zone Number 2 2014 Annual Report. The Pearland Reinvestment Zone is most commonly known as Shadow Creek Ranch, right there off of 288 in Pearland. In your packet was the actual annual report. I'll just try to summarize the report in a few slides for you. The zone was actually created by city ordinance in December 1998. It began in January 1999, and the zone actually terminates on December 31st, 2028. The tax increment, or the property value that goes into the zone, is determined as of the value as of January 1st, 1998. As I mentioned, the zone is better known as Shadow Creek Ranch. It's comprised of a little over 3,900 acres. The original zone was about 3,500 acres, and there were two amendments adding about 465 acres into the zone for the total of 3,900 acres. The zone does lie in two different counties. About 3,100 acres, or 79% of the zone, lies in Brazoria County, with the remaining 807 acres lying in Fort Bend County. This is the map of the zone. The zone is outlined in the red dotted line, and the county line is the yellow line, so you can see the portion that is in Fort Bend County with the majority of the zone lying in Brazoria County. There are four taxing entities that lie within the zone, including Alvin Isd. There's the City of Pearland, Brazoria County, and Fort Bend County. And each participating entity tax increment is defined by their specific interlocal agreements between the city and the entities. Alvin Isd participation, that was passed in June 1999. Your participation is 100% of the tax increment is collected and sent to the city on behalf of the zone, and then we turn around and send back to the school district 75% of the monies for you to use on operating and school facilities within the zone. As you know, you're building a Shadow Creek Ranch High School currently. Nolan Ryan Junior High, that was just mentioned earlier, along with a couple elementary schools within the zone. In your interlocal agreement, we do hold your participation for 1 year before it is released for developer reimbursement for improvements within the zone, just in case the state legislature by chance should change state law regarding school participation in the zone. The City of Pearland participates at 100%. We do get a 64 reimbursement back to the city to pay for fire, police, public works, to provide services within the zone. Brazoria County participates at a little over 13 cents, which represents 27% of their tax rate. Fort Bend County participates at 100% of a tax rate of 46.8. Their current tax rate is at 47 cents, so they practically participate at almost 100% of their current tax rate. And as I mentioned, Alvin Isd net participates at 25%. The 2014 taxable value in the zone is on the slide for each participating entity. For Alvin Isd, your value is a little over almost $1.4 billion compared to the value of the zone when it was created in 1999 of a little over $4 million. So that's an increase of property valuation for the school district almost $1.4 billion. In calendar year 2014, there were 374 home sales. So the total number of homes at December 31st were 5,720 homes. For our financial planning purposes, we're assuming that the zone does build out by 2018. Major construction in 2014 was for some medical center facilities, and as well as a 350-unit apartment complex opening within Shadow Creek Ranch. For 2014, for City of Pearland, Brazoria County, Alvin ISD, and Fort Bend County, total revenues into the zone were $12,231,000. That's an increase over last year's revenues into the zone of $11,258,000. The zone has very little operating expenditures, with only $16,000 for 2014, with the majority of the participating revenue being transferred to our development authority, which pays for debt service on debt that is issued to reimburse the developer, as well as cash reimbursements for infrastructure reimbursements. At 12/31, the zone fund balance was almost $3,000, about a $667,000 increase from last year. And the Alvin ISD suspense fund at 12/31 was $4.3 million. The zone has issued a little over $74 million to date, of which $8 million was sold in December 2014. Principal outstanding as of December 31st was a little over $65 million, interest of $17 million, with total debt outstanding a little over $82 million. This debt has to be paid off by the time the zone ends in 2028. The average annual debt service for the zone is a little over $5.5 million. The zone provides for letter of financing agreements with developers for reimbursement of infrastructure within the zone. That's for water, sewer, drainage, and road infrastructure. The zone has approved to date $173 million worth of letter of financing agreements. However, the actual amounts that were actually spent was only almost $150 million. That is due to savings on construction cost. You know, for a while there, we were getting good values for construction dollars. So while we approved $173 million, the actual expense was only about $150 million. To date, through December 31st, out of that $150 million, we've reimbursed almost $84 million. There was interest that was accrued on that amount of $31 million, for a total reimbursement to date of $115 million. And there's principal outstanding as of December 31st, about $65 million left to be reimbursed to the developers. I tried to get the most important pieces out of the report, and so if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. And I want to thank Mary Ann for once again ensuring that we coordinate and get this information to the board.
Thank you, Ms. Bogart. Does the board have any questions?
How often does the board meet?
The TERS board really meets about twice a year. Now that the zone has basically almost fully developed, there's not a lot of infrastructure needs that need to be put in. They're basically put in, and now we're just waiting for the value to be on the ground to reimburse the zone. About twice a year.
Any further questions? Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate the
Thank you.
presentation. Thank you. Okay, the next presentation that's on our agenda is the Citizens Advisory Committee.
You ready?
Yes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Dr. Gilcrease, and members of the audience tonight. My name is David Becker. This is Timmy Forrest, and we're part of the Citizens Advisory Committee. There's also additional CAC members here tonight that worked very hard as well that are in the audience tonight, and I'd like to acknowledge those folks as well. If you can raise your hand so that we know who you are. Leave it to Shirley not to be listening. Okay. What we're going to do is I'm going to present some, and then Timmy will present some as well, and we'll just go through the slides that are on the screens here that are part of the recommendation that we're going to present to you tonight. Our charge, it was formed, we met in the, I guess it was the school board charged in January 20th, and we started meeting, I believe it was in February. Is that correct, Dr. Gilcrease? Days and numbers go by quickly. But the mission was to evaluate the needs of the district for the next 5 years. Members were stakeholders, they were parents, local business owners, civic leaders, and of course Alvin Independent School District staff who were helpful with information that was asked from the CAC. Our goal was to look at everything that was presented to us with that information and provide recommendations to the you guys, the Board of Trustees and the Superintendent. Our charges consider the educational needs of the students in the present day society, ensure support for quality education for all students, provide new facilities to accommodate increasing enrollment, develop solutions for aging facilities, program growth and state requirements, and of course align recommendations with fiscal responsibility, reflect community values and perceptions of needs. And Daniel, if you can move your head, I can see the rest of that. Base decisions on current data and best practices. And like I said earlier, provide a 5-year plan for facilities and land purchase. Thank you, Daniel. It's amazing how big that screen got. The parameters, obviously, you can see on the board there, was not less than 50 community and staff members. Once again, prioritize the needs based on the established mission that was previously, I just recommended there before. Shall be fiscally conservative with understanding of continued growth, future long-range needs, and legislated tax caps. And then, of course, public information was held February 16th. Had a lot of people sign up and were involved with it. All the public was invited to attend and participate in every meeting, and all the meetings were posted online, as you can see. So any of those, you can go back and see notes and things from those meetings. I try and read that little print, but my eyes aren't that good anymore. So considerations, we're a fast growth district, of course, 799 annual closings. You can see all that there. I think the one that I really would like to point out to you is the annual student enrollment. Is equal to plus 1,000 the last few years of an average. Wow. Another way to look at that is to think 1,000 students. That's a high school, a junior high, and 2 elementary schools that you're adding in that period, in those years like that. So it's a different way of looking at it, but it really brought to attention to us of the need for the schools and things based on the enrollment projections there. Additional master plan communities, Pomona and Meridiana are listed there, but there's many others. So a lot of this is based on the projected growth, but ultimately could top out at 48 to 56,000 students. That's a lot of kids. Oh, I'm going to turn it over to Timmy.
I love this slide because all you have to do is look at the slide and the colors tell the story. The yellow and the red being, the yellow being almost at capacity and the red being surpassing capacity on, those elementary schools on each of their campuses. So a couple of things I wanted to point out. In the year 15-16, so we'll have 9 campuses out of 15 that either are right at capacity or in the red and over capacity. In the following year, 15-17, we'll have 11 schools that are at capacity, 11 out of 15 or over capacity. And some of those that are in the yellow, really, they're not at capacity, but that is including those temporary buildings as well. So that's a lot of kids on a lot of campuses. The next slide. So our CAC recommendations for elementary level is a new elementary school 17. We have already acquired the land. New elementary school 18, again, land already acquired. Replacement of an elementary school, which we're saying 19, and new elementary school 20. And we're also recommending that we acquire land for an elementary school number 21. Okay, back to you, David.
Okay, well, as you can see, the elementary was quite a few that we needed there. And junior high, the concern is obviously with all those elementary schools, those kids got to go somewhere. Usually it's the next level up, which is junior highs. Those classes are moving through and they're getting there. So this slide once again shows some of the enrollment projections. Once again, the yellow and red, it's at capacity or with temporary buildings beyond capacity. 2017, 2018, you start getting into those critical stages, and as you can see, as you move on, it just continues to get more and more overpopulated. Our recommendations were for a new junior high number 7, and that was with land that was previously acquired, and also the design for junior high number 8. Dollars for this land purchase were approved in the 2013 bond. Those two items there, about $45.5 million. The next thing we looked at was the high school. Obviously, we have Shadow Creek opening up next year, correct? Don't want to push that up a little bit. But high school, we have, once again, as you move through, you go from elementary to junior high, those students have to go somewhere, and the next step, obviously, is the high school. The CAC considered the impact of opening Manville Junior and Shadow Creek High to provide temporary relief, but really following the addition of those, we're still projected to experience a deficit of high school seats by 2022. There we go. Timmy. Oh, hang on, I was trying to get out of it. Yes, that's still me. I'm sorry. Some of the other recommendations we made was for the new CTE Center, phase 2 of 2, and some of the programs that would be part of that, not necessarily the ones that are up there. Even though they're up there, they're more likely that's still to be determined based on the need and also folks that are interested in that. So I'm not here to say you're going to do this, this, and this. That's up to you guys. But those are some of the potential programs that could be provided with the new CTE Center. Alvin High School auditorium upgrades. Revised the stage to widen the, what does that say? Proscenium. Proscenium, yes. Thank you, Pat. Install fire sprinkler system, new sound and light systems, control booth, ADA upgrades, which are desperately needed, and new dressing rooms. So all those things are obviously, when you compare it to some of the newer schools, it'll get caught up and make everything a little bit more across the board, where it's always, everybody has some of the same things. So for some of our theater arts and those programs that use that, choir, et cetera. And also award night for sports. Moving on, Memorial Stadium upgrades, obviously Alvin, and well, I can't say Alvin, Memorial Stadium needs a new press box, and with that, you have to bring everything up to code, so that will require an elevator and restroom added to that. New sports lighting, add visitor restroom and concessions, and then also a locker room for visiting team and officials and ticket sales. And then lastly would be land for high school number 4. Start thinking ahead and get land while it's cheaper than it is later. So those are the recommendations, and Timmy will continue on with the district level.
Okay, for district level recommendations, we are recommending the building of a new district stadium. and a new transportation center. Both of those lands were approved for, we have dollars set aside for that from the 2013 bond election. So the new stadium would be a 10,000 seat stadium, and it would have, you know, concessions. It would be soccer regulation, so we could play soccer there as well. It would be a lower level, it's going to be both concrete and aluminum, and it's going to have press box, field turf, of course, field house and community room, scoreboard, and sound is all covered in that. The transportation center, again, the land was provided in the 2013 bond, and basically it's going to be an accommodation for buses and things, and more in the center, another place for buses to meet the needs on our side, you know, the west part of the district. Gosh, I can't spit that out. So that will cut down on some of those long trips to get buses and take the kids and then take the buses back, and should really help us with gas, and also the life of the buses will be improved as well. And then lastly, here's the list, the moment you've been waiting for. So I'll go through new elementary school number 17, new elementary school number 18, new junior high number 7, replacement elementary school number 19, new CTE center, new elementary school number 20, Alvin Isd School auditorium upgrades, new district stadium, memorial stadium upgrades, land for high school number 4, design for junior high number 8, new transportation center, and land for elementary school number 21. And we're both available if you have questions.
Well, thank you, Mr. Becker and Ms. Forrest. Does the board have any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
How did y'all decide on a 10,000 seat for the new stadium?
Well, there was a lot of conversation about that. The stadiums that we considered were an 8,000 capacity, 10,000 capacity, and 12,000 capacity. And we settled in the middle and thought an increase in seats from what we have at Memorial Stadium would be good, without stepping out and doing, you know, a 12,000 seat stadium. Also, and I think I'm right about this, David, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we have the capacity to enlarge that because we'll have the land to do it. So just because we start at 10,000 doesn't mean we'll be there forever. We can increase it at a later time. I'm right about that, right?
Thank
Does that
you.
answer that?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, hearing none, thank you very much for your time and your presentation. Thanks for dedicating yourself to the last 6 months project. Okay, then moving on, we have item number 7 on our agenda is the consent agenda. Are there any consent agenda items that the board would like to pull? There are 11 of them. Is there any ones that anybody would like to pull? Okay, then, hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve consent agenda items A through K?
So moved.
First by Ms. Winterstrom, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Tanini. Okay, then, all in favor of approving consent agenda items A through K? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Right. Next on our agenda is the request to consider naming delegate and alternate for the TASB 2015 Delegate Assembly.
Board, usually at this time, boards choose a candidate that is running from the Region Service Center area to represent them at the state level on the TASB State Committee. Oh, no, I'm at the wrong one. I'm sorry. Well, they do that too. But so hey, it's raining outside, and it kind of threw me off. I told Miss Harris that if I'd have known all I had to do to get it to rain was cut my hay and let it lay on the ground, I'd have done that a month ago. So now let's go back to this agenda item. And every year the board approves a delegate and alternate to represent Alvin ISD at the TASB Fall Conference.
Thank you very much. Board, do I hear a motion? Would someone like to make a motion for a delegate from Alvin ISD as well as an alternate to represent us at the 2015 TASB Delegate Assembly?
Madam President, I would like to make a motion that we nominate Tiffany Winterstrom as the delegate and Miss Julie Pickering as the alternate.
Thank you for that motion. Okay, I have a motion on the floor. Thank you. You can't script this.
Somebody else agreed.
I think so. Okay, so we have this motion on the floor. The motion is for Tiffany Winterstrom to represent the Alvin ISD School Board as the delegate, and Ms. Pickering, Julie Pickering, to represent us as the alternate delegate. Are you two ladies okay with this? Before we go forward, so we have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Humbert. Okay, then. Do y'all want to have any questions or discussion about this? So you're
Somebody
okay.
better bring me a better lunch.
We'll slip it in the side door, okay, if they don't lock us out. So there's no questions about that, so we have Tiffany and Julie. So then, all in favor of Tiffany Winterstrom as our delegate, and then Julie Pickering as our alternate delegate to represent Alvin ISD at the TASB Fall Conference? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Okay. The next agenda item is the request to consider approval of endorsement of a Region 4 TASB board position.
This is the one I was working on.
This is the one.
Yes. Yeah. So every year, again, as I said, elect someone to represent us at the TASB Board of Directors.
Okay. Let's see here.
I would just, Madam President, I would respectfully ask that we table this agenda item at this time.
Okay.
That's okay with everyone?
That's a motion by you then?
Yes.
Second.
To table.
To table?
The agenda item.
Okay, so we have a motion to table this agenda item, which is the nominee from Region 4 to serve on the TASB Board of Directors. So we have a motion, and I heard a second by Ms. Scheibel.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any questions?
No.
Okay, hearing none then, all in favor of tabling a nominee from Region 4 to serve on the TASB Board of Directors? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. The next agenda item is the request to consider approval of fractional funding swap.
Board, back in 2006, when the present financial system came into being, school districts that were not taxing at the maximum cap of $1.50 at the time, when their tax rates were compressed, they never got the full impact. And so for us, as a district, all these years, it's been about 4 pennies that because of being fiscally conservative in the past, we were basically penalized. So our dollar was never worth what other people's dollars were. Our dollars were only worth 96 cents. And so this year, in their infinite wisdom, the 84th legislature amended that. And so with that, then our tax rate shows on the M&O side of equal to that, and that funding will come from the state for the first time. For us, that's about an additional $1 million in maintenance and operation revenue.
Okay, do I hear a motion for the board to approve the fractional funding swap as presented?
So moved.
First by Ms. Tonini, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Pickering. Are there any questions? Okay, then hearing none, all in favor of approving the fractional funding swap as presented? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Our dollars are equal.
Yeah, that's a nice thing. Okay, next on the agenda is a request to consider a lease agreement of Alvin ISD administrative offices at Pearland Town Center. Dr. Gilchrist?
Board, a few months ago, we had the conversation about looking for a west side location to open a satellite office for multiple purposes. Most importantly would probably be student services would have a site there. Human Resources would have people housing there during certain times of the year. And so we've been on the hunt looking at options that are there. We did look at, and part of that conversation was directing us towards, finding a place that politically fit in as well. And so our concerns focused on certain areas where we would have a little bit of control over who our neighbors would be, who our future neighbors might be. And so at this point, we're just coming to you to have a conversation about how far do you want us to proceed with this, what is important to you in the process, and help us go about seeking that specific spot.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the Alvin administrative team for recognizing the need to have a West Side office. It's really great that y'all did that. So this is to us to communicate any direction to Dr. Gilcrease and the team. So are there any questions that you would like to ask Dr. Gilcrease?
So
Okay.
basically, you just want a guidance, tell us, yeah, keep looking or start looking?
Well, I mean,
Kind of.
there, the questions center around cost value, the questions center around location, the questions center around size, how many offices that we would like to house out of there. If there anything particular that you would like to see housed in that office would then lead us to different, different locations depending upon the number of square feet needed. Those kind of conversations.
Okay. I see in the information that you provided us that you are considering student administration, HR, business, interim office and meeting location, as well as a Center for Public Relations and Community Information. So appreciate that information. Does anybody have any input and any comments they'd like to make so we can provide some parameters or feedback?
I think it's great. Go luck.
Well, one of the first things we're going to do is move the Shadow Creek High School administrative staff into that building, and so they can begin doing interviews in the spring. That it's right around the corner next spring, and so we can start having interviews there. So we do want to stay in that area where close to that high school location, so that we can make that connection as well. That's not on the list, so I thought I would throw that in there.
Thank you.
The previous information also, this would be a place where teachers can go when they need certain things as well, and they don't have to come all the way down here, so it's going to help our community and our staff.
Correct. Correct. It would, it'd be hard pressed for us to find a place to have professional learning in large groups.
Sure.
But obviously, paperwork issues dealing with employment records or insurance, business operations, those kind of things, we could house that there and have their drive would be cut considerably just to take care of something. We have a lot of employees that drive in to 301 East House, and they're here for 3 minutes, and then they turn around and drive back because it's a simple. Most of them for Donnie, right? Donnie Merrick.
And parents too that need to do transfer requests and things
Absolutely.
of that nature. It
Absolutely.
saves them from having to drive clear to this side. So I think it's a great service that we offer.
Well, and I think keeping it close to the Shadow Creek High School, to me, that implies a fairly central location for that portion of the district. So, kind of the far northwest side and the far southwest side have a little bit of, it's kind of centrally located between there right now. I like that.
Great.
So what I'm hearing is to go
Do we
search
have
for
any-
options.
Do you have any idea of how big a place we're looking for?
15 to
Bigger than a bread box, right?
bigger than bigger than the bed of my pickup, because that's.
Okay.
But 15 to 2,500 square feet, somewhere in there, depending upon the, how it can be configured on the inside.
So we're also, if I'm reading this right, where he says staff about where we can do some training over there too, like for those schools that are on that side. I know we send them a lot over here, but for schools on that side, we should have a room over there that we can do some.
In small groups, we wouldn't be able to get large groups together, but it would be small groups. Lori Breeden's group, though, they house, like part of her group houses out of Alvin Primary, and then so they may not be back to their office for a week, might be a spot for them to come and go and do things.
And are you considering having any permanent offices there, or just as a meeting place for as necessary? Does that make sense?
We really kind of right now this would be permanent. You know, we wouldn't sign a permanent lease, but it would be a permanent place. But we hope to look at future opportunities for future facilities that are more centrally located, to where we could serve professional development and those kind of things.
Well, okay, I didn't phrase that correctly then. I'm saying, like, would that be a place where you'd put Alan Roberts permanently? Or, no.
Is that, wait, was that a motion?
Second?
Oh, he's not gonna mind that, that's close to the house.
He doesn't mind being picked on. I mean, any specific department or person will have a permanent office there, or will it be a facility that just whoever needs to use it can use?
Yes, the answer is yes to both those. There will be, student services will have a permanent place there. There'll be a permanent person there to receive people in and out, answer the telephone. And then above and beyond that, you know, there will be certain time of the year where people from HR will be there for the most part of the year. Then there will be other, but so as far as student services right now would have a permanent place there.
Okay.
And then others on an as-needed, you know, depending on the time of year and the pressures of who's coming and going and those kind of things.
Got it. That's fantastic. Good. Thank you.
I think the only concern I would have would be if we're looking at putting Shadow Creek staff there temporarily, I wouldn't want to lease a spot that's big enough to house the Shadow Creek staff and these other administrators, and then Shadow Creek staff leaves in a year and we're left with empty spaces. And I realize that would mean a very tight space for a year probably, but I would rather kind of work that out than to have.
That's exactly our thoughts right now. You know, going into it and say we sign a lease in October, and they move over there in October. Pat has promised us. This is a promise that we'll be into the administrative offices at Shadow Creek High School in the spring. You know, sometime in that spring. So about the time that they would be looking to move into their permanent offices, it would be about the time when Human Resources would need to come in. So we hope we can time it right, and depend on how. But we would not get too much to start with, and then have to go backwards. We may be sharing.
But I think this is great, and I think what you said, close to Shadow Creek Ranch High School or Shadow Creek High School, is a really good place, because I think if you go farther north, you get too far away from some of our people that are farther south on 288, and that seems to be a very centrally located spot on that side of the district.
So we would go look for a value place that fits all of these other requirements, and get that back to you. So.
All right, wonderful. I think that's the feedback. Thank you. And thank you, Board, for your comments. Next on the agenda is the request to consider approval of PDOS district appraisers.
Board, every year we adopt district appraisers for our campuses. As you can see on the information provided, those are usually the principal and the associate principals and the assistant principals, and then we give a list of others who would serve as alternate appraisers in case that was needed. And so I did notice that my name was not on there, so I guess maybe I'm out of that loop, but our recommendation is that we add these people as PDAS appraisers.
Excellent. Do I hear a motion for the board to grant approval for the requested, excuse me, I'm on the wrong one. Ooh, sorry about that, y'all. Okay, do I hear a motion for the board to approve the 2015-2016 PDOS appraisers as recommended?
So moved.
First by Mr. Humbird. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Scheibel. Are there any questions?
Do we need to add but?
No.
Do we need to add that? No? Okay, that was fast.
I mean, you can if you wish, but.
Okay then, hearing no other questions, all in favor of approving the 2015-2016 PDOS district appraisers as recommended? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the request to consider approval of employments.
Board, you had in your original packet posted on Thursday several personnel items, and then you also got some updates to that, and the hard copy is at your desk of those additional personnel units to be approved for employment.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion for the board to grant approval for the requested personnel items as presented? And this would be the list of the teaching positions, I believe.
So moved.
First by Ms. Winterstrom. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Tanini. Are there any questions? Okay, then hearing none, all in favor of approving the requested personnel as presented? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Next agenda item is a request to consider of approval of administrative appointments, and there are 3 administrative appointments on there: the assistant principal at Alvin Primary, assistant principal at EC Mason, and the coordinator of human resources. So let's start. Dr. Gregory, would you like to read the fly sheet, then we can start with the first one?
Yes. These are administrative appointments. They're either replacements to reassignment or resignation of administrators, or these are new positions.
Thank you. So the first one on there is the assistant principal at Alvin Primary. That candidate's name is Aaron Nance. Do I hear a motion to grant approval for Aaron Nance as the assistant principal at Alvin Primary?
So moved.
First by Ms. Tanini, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Humbird. Are there any questions? Okay, then all in favor of approving Aaron Nance as the assistant principal at Alvin Primary? Motion carries 7-0. Is Aaron here?
No, she is at a WOW conference.
Okay.
Getting wowed right now.
She's getting wowed?
Dry right now.
Okay, well, congratulations go out to her from the board. Next on the agenda is the same agenda item, and the position is the assistant principal at EC Mason. And that person is, let's see, Tasha McFarland. So do I hear a motion for the board to approve Tasha McFarland as the assistant principal at EC Mason?
So moved.
First by Mr. Humbird. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Metoyer. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approving Tasha McFarland as the assistant principal at EC Mason?
You gonna vote?
Are you gonna vote?
Going downhill.
Motion carries 7-0. Is Ms. McFarland here?
Yes, she is
You
here.
gonna stand up and so we can see you? Sorry, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, last person on the agenda is the coordinator of human resources, and that recommendation is Melba Morales. So do I hear a motion for the board to approve Melba Morales as the coordinator of human resources?
So moved.
Tiffany won.
First by Ms. Winterstrom. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Humbird. Okay, are there any questions? Hearing none then, all in favor of approving Melba Morales as the coordinator of human resources? Motion carries 7-0. Is Melba here?
Yeah, she's here.
Stand up. Congratulations. Wonderful. Okay, moving on. There are 2 items in the director's report, and they address the M&O preparedness for the hurricane season, as well as the 2013 bond progress report. Thank you for that information, that director's report. We appreciate that input. Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
There we go. And we had late breaking news on the superintendent report. Ms. Olson handed me a reminder of save the date for the Education Foundation 8th Annual Fall Gala on Friday, September 18th at 2015. So, did I say that correctly? Okay, all right. A couple things that have happened in the last few weeks. Teacher Leadership Academy, we've taken a new twist on the Aspiring Administrators Academy, and we've actually focused it on teacher leadership. And so those people who felt like they had a desire to further their careers were eligible, any of them were eligible to sign up. And It's going to continue all year long with a blended learning approach. They'll have some face-to-face and some online learning components, and they had a great 2 days in July here in the Alvin ISD boardroom. The couple other days on July 21st and then July 27th and 28th, we had some great days with our principals and assistant principals from around the district, and we focused on a discussion about what's the main thing, what's the most important thing at each campus. And then on the 27th and 28th, we had some great times discussing how central office as our capacity builders and what their jobs then revolve around as being capacity builders for everything that goes on our campuses. And then you may have heard this somewhere, I don't know, but there's been some, but the new school hours do allow us to take opportunity to bank some minutes. School years are now eligible to be gauged in minutes as opposed to days. And so the hours that we proposed allow us to bank enough minutes to where we could take care of our 2 bad weather days, as well as we could decrease the last 3 days, those 3 days and 2.5 days in June that we come back for school, and take those off our calendar. So the start times had to happen before school started. We are, after the agency releases the final rules they're supposed to release on September 1st, we will then be bringing back to you a revised school calendar for next year that would reflect the fact that these banked minutes would then allow us to make changes to the actual days in which we have school. Today we started new teacher induction this morning, and Ms. Alvarez did a great job on putting this together. The Alvin ISD Express with the train, I wanted to drive that train, but she wouldn't let me. So, and anyway, the teachers that we had there had lots of great comments about the learning that went on today. We have them again tomorrow and the next day as we get them acclimated to Alvin ISD. Convocation, 9:30 a.m. at Grace Community Church. I hear it's the place to be next Monday. It's the place to be. We plan on having a great time there. It won't last long, about an hour, and then send everybody back to their campuses on that day, because on August the 24th, kids come back. Ready or not, they're coming back. So that's all I have.
Very good, thank you. The next agenda item is number 17, future agenda items. Does any of the board members have future agenda items they'd like to ask for? Okay, hearing none then, we get to adjourn. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? All right, Mr. Humbert, he's on that. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Winterstrom. All in favor of adjourning? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you, board.